Welcome back. This is this part two of our just questions session, the After Dark. So if you missed any of the discussions we want to have, go ahead and watch it beforehand. But I am joined by Axis0096, Naz, and HC Vertigo. Make sure you check out Axis0096 on Axis0096 on Twitch. HC Vertigo with HC Vertigo on Twitch, and Naz at the Nova Forge on YouTube and Twitch, right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. With that being said, let's pick it right back up and continue with some of these questions. So these are questions asked by the community specifically that we're going to answer. We've been answering a bunch of them. We've got a handful left. It's probably going to be about another hour or so, but we'll see. Shimpasta asked, are you mad taking questions from live trolling chat? No.
No.
Always. That's no.
Then Shapasta follows up. Do you feel that CIG was planning on spending this whole year fixing the game, breaking bugs, or was it influenced by the community, big streamers? I don't think streamers had as much to do with it as people think. A streamer has a voice, but typically a streamer's voice isn't too far off from what their community thinks. And I have a fairly dedicated community. I'll say that. We're not huge, but I don't think anyone in my community is 100% agrees with me all the time about everything I say. Right?
No.
And
I don't agree.
And and so as a result, I think people often overestimate streamers. I don't think CIG, and I've talked with CIG about this, they don't seem to put a lot of stock in any kind of streamer commentary. They'll respond to streamers because they know that streamers have influence, but no, I think it was mostly twofold. One, the community was clearly needing something to fix.
I mean, like, I was reading Spectrum every so often.
Yeah.
For the past few months, and it was just everyone was just mad about how bad things were for around 4.0.
I mean, when you spend 10 years with the loudest subject in the community being fix the game, eventually they're gonna fix the game. They just got it just reached a point where the amount of players, especially the new players of last year, like I've seen the graph, it's stupid how many players came in last year.
Since 2020, the majority of the player base has come in since 2020. Like it's not even the people like us who have all been around since before 2020 are a minority in the community. You know. And as Jin was saying, the other thing the reason why I think it is because they've got their base tech in. All their base tech is done. Now is the time to sit there and go, let's harden this and fix this problem. I was a little concerned that they were going to be doing too much fixes and then that they were just going to add something new and then break everything, because that's why you don't do that. But people like Jen and other people who've been in the industry a little bit longer, who've been in the industry much longer than I have even followed the industry, all seem to agree that this is a good time. This seems like it would be a good time to harden, not necessarily optimize, harden the base. Get your base structures, which were already broken, address those tech debts, fix those issues, which you're not going to replace. They're not replacing missions. The missions that are in the game are going to be the missions that are in game. They're just changing how the background system functions. All of the stuff that's in the game now that doesn't work, they want to fix it to the degree where it's fixed, and then add in the things that they need to fix that are not quite there yet, like the transit system. So yeah.
And the few early access stuff that I've been a part of, and from what I know about building games, like normally it's not an abnormal thing for developers to say, hey, we're just going to take a break for a minute and work on the crap we have in game because it's being hard even on developers to get anything moving. So we need to kind of take a break, fix some stuff up, and then continue rolling. Because the environment, they need the data for us doing the things, and they need the environment in the game, in the developer side too, to actually be able to hey, we're going to put this in. Does it work? I don't know. I can't open the hangar.
Yeah. And anybody who's been following this community for long enough would have told you that 4.0 was going to be a disaster. I remember hearing people 4.0 has to be perfect. It's no, it's never going to be perfect. It was always going to release in a kind of a bad state because it's a brand new technology, and that's going to cause some weird side effects as a result.
Yeah, it was much less of a dumpster fire than I think any of us imagined.
Yeah. Oh, Jin is asking if I was going to voice my fear was that by optimizing the game now rather than waiting till later when they added a new feature in, it would break the game. That was my fear. Is that it would break the game because it was like, oh, cool, we spent all this time making the game really good. Now we're going to add in engineering, and now everything's broken again. And so it's like all of that work was for nothing other than just to make some people stop complaining on Spectrum, and they'll still complain on Spectrum because they're addicted to complaining on Spectrum. That was my fear, but other people seem to believe that no, this is different from just pure optimization. This is just fixing the things that are tech debt, the issues that no longer are they new features. They're features that have been in a while, but they haven't addressed the problems with them. So yeah.
And then they ended up fixing stuff that wasn't broken.
What do you think, Vertigo? Do you think that the planning and like,
Are you think Vertigo? Yes.
Are you think Pervert? Do you feel that CIG was planning on spending this whole year fixing the game and breaking bugs, or was it influenced by the community?
I think it was influenced by the community. I think they see their daily active users. They see the comments on their YouTube channel. I see the comments on their YouTube channels. I see the comments on their live stream. I think they're tired of eating a ration of shit from their community, and they want to finally, after getting this big push done for 4.0 out the door, like finally we don't have any big disruptive pieces of technology down the road that we're gonna have to like bend the game over to fit. So now we can start actually taking care of some of these issues, making the game play better, getting not quality of life, but getting really the pain points, the pinch points fixed, the transit system that was supposed to come with 4.0 that they pushed off. Now they can start working on that, getting that work refactor more reliable. So you can actually start playing Star Citizen without having to worry about falling through planets and what invisible what are the elevator doors. Elevator door opens and there's no carriage. It's just black.
Axis, what do you think? Do you think that CIG was planning on doing this all along, or is this influenced by the community?
I don't think they were planning on doing this year or even as much of this month as they thought. I think they had a surprise discovery moment where they were looking at the back end code and they're like, oh my God. Like, holy cow, because there's no way it's this bad. And then they're like, oh yeah, it is this bad. And now we're having to be fixing things. But of course, yes, I think the community has been harping at them for a while. Even in my videos, there are folks that voice the opinion of, it needs some polishing, it needs some cleaning up of the bugs. And I agree with them, a lot of them. Definitely, because falling through the planet gets old. Getting eaten by the void elevators gets old. Gets old crashing into closed elevator roofs that are supposed to be open but are not. And missions that don't work. The list goes on and on. So I totally understand the community's issues with the current state of the game, but at the same time, they need to also be like some of the people in the current chat are saying, they need to not overlook putting in occasional new content to keep the community interested, because Frontier Development tried to go down this path very recently.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue
with Odyssey,
with reducing stuff going on in game. And even though it's related to something different, their numbers dropped a lot.
Okay.
And yeah.
I get what you're saying. All right.
Just an opinion. I mean, it is different between the Elite and Star Citizen, but yeah.
That was the question. Was our opinion, our feel? So Dell asks, how do you expect the Karens, I mean the CFP, to interact with the People's Alliance of Levski? That seemed like an explosive combo between pro-UE and anti-UE elements. I think we'll see some... I've always said that Nyx always feels like a clandestine system. The system is
Bunch of hippies living there, if you ask me.
Yeah, but it's
Communists.
yeah.
Did I miss some like read up about CFP that I just like?
Yeah,
Oh,
our
man.
CFP is
Entirely new look?
we call them Karens for Prosperity, like on my channel.
Yeah. Okay, let me explain. If you went into someone's... So if someone was living in a dumpster, and it was their dumpster, and you went to that dumpster and tried to clean out the dumpster, would the person who lives in that dumpster be mad at you?
Probably.
Yeah.
So, Pyro is a dumpster, but people have lived there for 600 years. The CFP is coming in and saying, you know, we'll get the non-aligned people with the stuff, and we want to make sure that we're gonna bring the Pyro into the UEE through getting all these unaligned people and then making it safe for corporations and the government to come in and exploit the resources.
I thought the lore was that they were descendants of. They have been there.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope. They came in. They're
sucked.
the founder is from Hurston. She was a Hurston accountant.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
I don't care where their money comes from as long as it's being put to good, which is not use. Like
But-
you can exploit companies to your heart's desire. That is the best way to use a company. If they want to, if they want to like fund whatever to buy goodwill, they can throw as much money as they want at anything.
Perfect Guide is basically explaining it. It's like the CFP is bringing supplies to people who are already there, specifically the peaceful people. They're trying to organize the people who are not in gangs to back each other up, but they are bringing in their own people to help control and take over and settle these areas. It's kind of like, I mean, it's like old school imperialism. Come in, take the area, get locals to help you out, and then exploit the resources for the benefit of the host nation. It's just the East India Trading Company with extra steps. But does that mean that CFP is evil? No, it doesn't mean they're evil at all. In fact, they're probably helping a lot of folks out. But that's the whole point of the Star Citizen narrative. Is it's
I think unfortunately I'm
gray.
still going to line with CFP because like.
Yeah.
I am a CEO of an org, and
Mhm.
I much rather have business availability in Pyro.
So like as a result, they are the good guys. The good guys are kicking people out of homes that they've already had. Does that mean that the people who are there are good? Obviously not. They're freaking pirates. they're slavers and smugglers. They're not good people, but it's also been their home for
Everyone
400
there
years.
has no legal right to the land they walk on, so it's not kicking them out of their home.
You don't have a flag.
Speaking.
No flag, not illegal.
Yeah.
So
By the will of the Empire.
Yeah, it's like basically the CFP are coming in to tame the savages, and it's not always a good way of looking at things. But it's the way the CIG is writing these sorts of narratives is designed around that idea, where there is no one person who is right or wrong. There are going to be people who have their agendas, and those agendas are going to be not always intersect with what people believe. You're going to have to pick the best of a bad decision. Manifest Destiny being there first and longer doesn't mean it's theirs. Yeah, that kind of idea.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Nyx, for instance, Nyx is a lot more. They
have a flag.
They have a flag. And so I think that, but because they don't like the UE and the CFP do, I think we're going to see tense negotiation. We'll see both sides be very cordial to one another, but then send operatives to the other's base and sabotage it under the guise of like not being of being like we need to stop their movements here and there kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
Nix has always been that sort of, in my mind, the way that they've kind of built it out has always been this sort of, the idea is more clandestine operations because of that dark nebula that makes up most of the system makes it hard for you to be able to see anything. So it's the whole sort of, Cold War spy espionage, or like subtle gang war between people, that kind of stuff. So
I would like it to be not so. If they do conflict, they don't conflict overtly violently.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's more like inside operations, sending like single operatives to go in quietly and mess up stuff, like take out a shipping thing here and there and whatnot.
knock out a
But like
power
on the
of
face of it, they're like they each have like a little office in each other's home.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, we're both like frontiersmen.
Yeah, we
but
both
like
want
we
we want
have
peace and prosperity for our systems.
Mhm.
CFP have no business, but Nix, they're pyro focused. They were, but now they're called the Citizens of Prosperity because the UEE, many people have taken their model and been like, hey, let's just do this in the future.
Yeah,
So.
they are now all over the frontier system. If there's a frontier system to be inhabited, they are there.
Yeah.
Overtly to help out and create a logistic backbone.
Yeah. So that's a CIG-ism for, they want to make as few factions as possible that they can copy as many ways around, or as many possible ways to simplify the faction conflict, and so they don't have to make 17,000 unique outfits for every single system. So
that's one thing I really hate. The CFP has terrible clothing,
it'll get better. I think
uniform looks.
What we have right now is pretty basic. I think they'll expand as they go. So
hopefully they get unified armor, because geez, they look so bad.
All right,
everyone else has better armor. Sorry.
Shimpasta asks, regarding server maintenance, instead of the maintenance that would happen in non-alpha/beta game, would it be better for CIG to let the servers degrade to see what bugs pop up? Once the threshold is hit, auto start anew, and then move on to move all of the players to it. Vertigo, what do you think?
I mean, if you have enough people playing, you're gonna see all the major pain points come up pretty quickly on issue council, and then you can squash those pain points, and then just let the servers keep running, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then more pain points will come up the longer the servers keep running, and you squash those, and then the servers will keep running longer and longer and longer until you have a weekly maintenance cycle come up that just kind of solves all these. That's what I think CIG is trying to do. Is they're gonna look at the issue council, say, okay, we got this, we got the elevator problems, we got people falling through floors. These are affecting the quality of gameplay right now. Let's focus on getting these patched out, and then we'll do server maintenance. We've solved these bugs. They don't show the amount of reports we're getting for these bugs that we've patched have gone to almost zero, and so we must have fixed these. So we'll keep looking at the issue council, see what else comes up, and wash, rinse, and repeat. I'm assuming that's what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. Okay. Access, what do you think? Do you think it's better? I'll read it one more time so we can get the idea. Do you think it's better that CIG let servers degrade to see what bugs pop up, but once there's a threshold that's hit, they auto start a new one and move all players to it?
Isn't that kind of what we're doing right now, though?
Sort
to a
of.
degree. I mean, we are not having as many wipes, and we're letting code errors build up. Sorry,
Let's go.
nose is kind of itching.
I know that.
But we're not doing immediate wipes when one problem crops up. We're doing it every time there's a new patch or something, or were prior to the beginning of this year. Now we've entered a maintenance cycle thing, so something drastically must have changed to warrant that. And I'm just going to assume.
I'll say this, the idea that they're just going to let things die over time. That's already what they've been doing, and it's clearly not working. I think them building up a system where there's some sort of threshold of bugs being problematic and then restarting it, I think that kind of defeats the purpose. I think it's the ultimate goal is once the performance is degraded to a certain point, they just spin down the server and spin up a new server. The problem is that like that was sort of the mentality they were having with server. What is it? The recovery cycle, like where like if your server would be down, you'd like, okay, please wait, we're gonna spin up a new server, and then go. The problem was that you'd have a death spiral where you have a pause. Okay, we're spinning up a new server in the background, and then the same bug that caused that server to crash ends up in the new server and it causes it to crash because it's the same issues. So, um, so yeah. So, Nasus, what do you think? Do you think CIG should let the servers just sort of die and then, or let build it up until a certain number of bugs and then reset it?
I mean, my opinion kind of falls in this in between all things said so far. Like, they do let the servers go for a little while, and they'll figure out the bugs that are there, and they'll watch the issue council. But when it gets to a point, and like the servers do this on their own, they'll just die, and so they collect data from that. Like, they're not artificially propping up servers to let them degrade. And when a server needs to be rebooted, it is rebooted. I don't know how much like hands-on people they have spinning up and down servers. Like, it is mostly automated. But like they do what they need to have the game. I'm confused on like what would be the point in purposefully keeping up a server that people are just going to either Alt F4 out of or go back to menu to pick one that actually works.
Yeah.
Like, there's very few people out of Evocati, out of PTO Wave 1 and 2 that are actually there to like test the game. Most people in live are there to play the game. And if it's a bad server, they'll hop servers.
All right. Next question comes from Shimpasta, who asks, seeing Vert's spiffy flannel shirt reminds me of suit lockers. Do you think we'll get any form of base building this year? No.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
So apparently I was on record saying it was in 4.1.
I said I thought it was going to come out sooner too, but that was before they made the big announcement of like, oh yeah, we're going to focus on this, and then when they defined what they're focusing on with like with fixing, they defined we're pulling people off of features that are being worked on, and to help them fix back end features. I was like, all right, cool, then that's slow. And if CIG is slowing, then I thought that base building would come in at a squeaky bum at the very end of the year, and now that they're pulling people off of it entirely, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
I don't know. I don't think when I made that prediction that that'd be a great preview channel. I would not play the actual game. I think when I made the prediction, I didn't think that they'd do the entire vertical slice of it. Not vertical slice, but do all the sizes of it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they said like they're going to be doing all sizes the first release will have the small, medium, large, extra large building in it.
Yeah.
So that requires the FM, the build, and the Pioneer being done.
Well, they did say that the Pioneer wouldn't be available when base building was first released. That's one thing they did say.
Okay, so it's at least two vehicles though that have to be done at the same time.
The BLD is for sure going to be in there when it releases. So
yeah, and FM is just a color swap and a module in the back. And we already have the little cart thing, so that's done. So like it could be. I remember them saying all sizes would be in the first release. I remember them saying something about a vertical slice of all of it. I might be wrong. Two vehicles and a hover cart, yeah. But I remember them saying like features were going to come in more vertical slicey instead of piecemeal.
All right. Because I think the rest of us already answered just like nah. Axis 0096 asks, I guess this is for us three. What weapons do you still are still being worked on? Are we most excited for? Axis just wants me to talk about the Titan suit gun that me and Axis thinks is there. For those who don't know,
does it work as a tractor beam?
One of those preview. The
concept art.
Not even concept art. It's like remember they were like doing like the meet the team, and it was the sort of FPS team or the design team. I don't know who they were, but there was that.
Yeah.
You know, one of them who used to work for X on the X series. You know, One of those guns that they were showing off looked like it was a Gatling gun, but it looked far too big to be a handheld Gatling gun.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I looked up and I remembered like, oh right, they actually showed off a Titan suit weapon, and pairing it up, it was like this is a Titan suit weapon. This looks like it could be a Titan suit weapon.
But isn't a Titan suit just a size 1 port,
No,
which means it could go on
no, you
anything?
carry it.
They could create like bespoke weapons for the Titan suit. I remember one of the reasons why they said a Titan suit wasn't being developed is because they couldn't figure out how to get the guns to work, because even the size 1 guns are like 2 meters long, I think.
Mhm.
And if you put one of those in the hands, you pull your hand out into like a pose where you could actually shoot the gun, you'd have this massive hunk of metal hanging out in front of you and be very awkward to use inside of a level.
Mhm. It was also like they wanted to make sure that you could actually walk around in a suit and on the stations and other places you go into. So
Wild.
yeah. Well, I mean, they also developed it for Squadron because we know all of the Titan suit stuff we've seen is referencing Squadron 42, which is why I believe the ATLS was originally built for Squadron, and then they brought it into Star Citizen because it was probably just some background prop on the station you'd see walking around as an aliens reference, and they just said let's make it functional and put it in the game, So, but it probably uses the same sort of technology that you'd see with the Titan
ATLS.
suits. Yeah. So it's probably going to move similar to the ATLS, that sort of thing. What do you think, Naz? Is there any guns you're looking forward to?
My favorite series of guns that I've never touched but seen so much about, the Volt series.
Mm-hmm. That's coming out soon.
Like not only is it like what they use for the crafting reference, we also saw like in the audio team the giant beam weapon.
Mhm.
And the blue, like I love the art of it. I love the art. Looks like something from Destiny. That's not why I love it, but I like the guns that looked like that from Destiny. There we go. You have the preacher, the taser, the crossbow, which I think is really
fuck the
relevant now we have
crossbow.
animals.
Fucking dumbest crossbow.
Swords, obviously, which I'm pretty sure was also in that thing.
Yeah,
There
they
was
showed
some
off a bunch of
neon
handhelds.
swords.
Some of them bludgeoning, it looked like.
Let's see, weapons still being worked. Like, as odd as it sounds, I'm excited for all of their weapons. Especially now that they're quote unquote done with the normal, like standard ones. They said they were trying to get all the standard ones in, then they'll be doing something more exploratory. Here we are.
Yep.
Like, because the weapon team is the weapon team, they're not doing anything else. They're not gonna work on anything else that I care about. Like, except for maybe like farming tools, but like it's not really how we're gonna be farming. It's all like through base building stuff. Like the weapon team can just keep making cool weapons. Like all the weapons I'm pretty excited for.
Vertigo? Any weapons specific you're looking forward to?
Not really. Like, they have a large enough base of weapons right now. They all feel really samey. Kind of eh. You got the DMRs, you got the sniper rifles, you got the assault rifles, you got the SMG, you got the shotgun. So I don't think Star Citizen can be made better by adding more guns right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking forward to the swords. I'm not looking forward to the crossbow. I'm not looking forward to the tasers. Even if it's a katana, I'm not looking forward to it. It could be like a laser katana.
I will run with a cutlass before I run with the katana.
All right.
They're gonna put a katana in for the weebs, I guarantee.
No.
Oh, 100%.
Didn't they show off a katana for like one of the
They might have.
No, they did for it was like with one of the bounty hunters they invented recently. The guy who's Mission Complete Burrito Eat. They had like a brief flash
he had
of him
two katanas he was wielding.
Two katanas. Very briefly showed off in an advert a while ago, and people were losing their goddamn minds in the community. I almost said katana-ty.
Listen,
people were losing their minds, like, oh my god, katanas! Like, there are so many weeaboos out there that love that sword. It's dumb.
Star Citizen
is terrible swords.
Star Citizen is a cyberpunk game. As much as people don't want to admit it, it is a cyberpunk game. And if it's a cyberpunk game, then it's
gonna have
going to have a katanas.
As long as the katanas are made from objectively inferior materials, they can be in the game.
All right.
You
next,
mean Drake?
the
No,
next-
no, Drake makes their holes sparse but out of good material. Katanas historically are inferior materials passed off with historic value
That's,
every time.
oh yeah, no. Japanese iron is garbage. Japanese iron is hot dog shit, and they've known it for years. It's one of the reasons why they invaded other countries. It's just
And like one of the
that's one of the reasons why they had to like invent the folding technique, was because their iron was just breaking shit all the time. It just wasn't good quality.
and people always like, well, why are those so many katanas around? Because the Europeans made so many swords, they did not care because they just go get a new sword.
Yeah.
So they're like in ditches and crap, and they're still there.
Soft on the inside, hard on the outside. Yeah. Pig iron that's folded to get high enough to quality steel effectively.
Yeah. They had to like that's how you remove from wrought iron. Raw
Yeah.
iron is you have to keep folding it on itself, and every time you fold it, you lose some of the impurities.
Mhm.
The iron gets more and more pure to a point.
Yeah.
The more pure ore the better the ore you start with, the better the end result's going to be. That's why European iron was better, because Europeans had better quality ore than the Japanese.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the Japanese struggled during World War II. Was because their local domestic iron was really bad, and so
Japan was not a very resource-rich nation.
Yeah, oil was
Their
scarce.
geography roulette was horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why they invaded Korea. It's one of the reasons why they invaded China, and it declared war on the United States, was because they're just resources. The actual amount of resources they had was far too small for the population they had, and so they needed to expand out just to support their population as it was growing, on top of their industrial appetite, because they had become rapidly industrialized. So that's a completely different thing, but to tie this back in, I hope that is sort of tied back into Star Citizen, because we will have low quality material that you can use to produce things as well. So
Low quality, mid quality, shit quality.
yeah, you guys are destroying my weeaboo reality. Samurai swords and nakadashis, or whatever they're called, they're different. They're different katanas and all the different types.
They're sharpened metal sticks you used to hit people with. Get over it.
They're fine. They're fine, but like, they're not the best swords that have ever been made, y'all. Like,
all the best animes
cool.
either have guns or magic in them. So
yeah, exactly. Or
use something better.
Or magical guns.
Or magical
American magic.
Yeah.
American.
A sword.
Anime takes
sword,
gunplay to a whole new level.
A sword which turns into a gun, but it's all powered by magic. Okay.
Oh, hold on. Have you guys seen Equilibrium?
Yes.
I've not.
Gun kata, which is basically gun kung fu.
Yes. Guntana, or whatever it is. Yeah. Gun fu is what it was called.
They use calculus to figure out the most optimal like shooting positions in a firefight to make a version of kung fu with guns.
Wasn't it released like a year before Matrix? It's very similar to the Matrix. Yeah,
it's very similar to the Matrix, and it is probably one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen. But I bought it and I own it, and it's one of those movies you watch drunk with friends, and it's just you just riff on it the entire time, because it's just it's so bad it's good.
Yeah,
Speaking of, they need a chainsaw for the Titan suit.
Chainsaw, sir. You mean chain sword?
Ripper from Gears of War.
I'm a pleb. It's a chainsaw.
Vibroblade. Let's go. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Go.
Oh, nano machines, son. All right. So Escape asks, do you feel balancing this time at this time be easier nerfing the top or buffing the bottom for balance?
It would require us to have a meta.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Other than just like this piece of equipment is just objectively best. Use this.
It's hard to balance when all the features aren't in yet. Like,
yeah.
A ship is good now will probably not be good when engineering comes in, and a ship that's bad now might be better when engineering comes in. And that's not to mention things like Maelstrom, You know, so
I mean,
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
Like imagine certain ships that don't have a billion doors to run through, so you can put a fire out in the ass end of the ship where your main power plant is. Like imagine having to put a fire out in your like engineering room of your caterpillar.
yeah.
It's you and your teammate. Your teammate's in the front turret. You're piloting the caterpillar. You get a fire breakout in the engineering section. Who's gonna get out of their seat and run back to the? There's like 50 doors between the front turret and the
engineering, you can
section.
lock them open. That's the like one feature that I want from engineering.
Or you could
Yeah.
Like,
evacuate the
especially,
air.
like even
I know,
just
right?
even just in the Zeus, there are what 3 doors or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like I want them to just stay open when I walk through them, so I can get up and just go
Yeah.
to the back instead of having to.
Or like the C1 where it's just a straight shot to the back. Like, oh no, a fire broke out in the cargo bay. Hold on a second, folks. Psh, okay, let's get back to the file of the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like-
there's gonna be certain ships that when engineering gets added, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Certain ships will be shit based on how they were designed by the artists. And there will be absolutely nothing that CIG can do to fix it. Other than like hull quirks, like just magically buffing a ship with better stats. Like this ship is just 50% less chance to catch on fire for some reason.
The Redeemer. The Redeemer syndrome, where like we don't know how to make this thing work. We're just gonna slap size 5s on this bad boy so people can
all
use it.
ships built last 2 years and forward will be so much better than the ones that came before because they knew what they were doing with all the features that they're adding.
You're gonna have ships that are accidentally overpowered because CIG just didn't know what the hell they were doing. And it could be like some of the very early design ships, like the Retaliator, where people asked me about the Retaliator when it was finally had the modules, like the cargo modules added to it. I'm just like, this thing's actually going to be pretty nasty as a cargo hauler because it has like 6 size 2 shields. It's covered in little turrets that could be used to plink at like small light fighters. You're not going to want to interdict this thing in a Cutlass.
Yeah,
like
it will be a great.
Like just for like running like high value like small end cargo across a heavily pirate infested system with like a group of teammates. Like sure, why not? Yeah, sure, interdict me with like fighters and whatnot. I'll just rip you apart, rip you to shreds.
It'll definitely take the mantle of the Falcon in that way. And that's one thing that like a lot of people like, this is the Firefly. Well, it's this part of the Firefly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people I forget what the last Firefly thing was, but like
Serenity.
The Starlancer. People are saying the Starlancer.
Starlancer. Yeah. But like if you go look at the cargo numbers for the Firefly, it is huge.
Yeah.
So like it's maybe like in feel it's got that like, you know, nose that protrudes in the belly that actually like is a lot boxier. But like it's small comparatively as far as like actual to do. The like way the cargo is designed on the Starfarer is much more like the cargo bay on this Firefly. So like a lot of different Star System ships picks like a feature to have in all of these ships. I think the Retaliator is going to definitely have that like don't touch this ship when it's moving cargo of the Falcon. And to answer the question as well, balancing very rarely comes down to buff or nerf. It's always like nerf this part, buff this part in the same vein. Like maybe the DPS is too high, but the damage isn't high enough, so you have to tweak both knobs. And so on and so forth. With like now that we have components and like balancing of the overall ship, there are way more knobs than just buff nerf.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying is like we can't even answer the question buff or nerf is better because we don't know where it is. Sometimes you buff, sometimes you nerf. It really depends.
I think CIG is probably going to hit it with the nerf hammer. Try to bring things down to a certain level, rather than buff things, and that kind of irritates people a little bit, especially if you spend hundreds of dollars on your ship and that's all the only ship you own, and then CIG hits the ion treatment.
Yep.
All right.
Oh. All right. So we're going to speed this up a little bit because we've still been streaming for like 40 minutes for this one, and I still have, or recorded for 40 minutes, and we still have a ton left. So we're going to go through this a little bit faster. This one's pretty quick. Dell asks, when poop tech? Engineering 2.0? Yes.
no.
Famously, me and Vertigo, or I will blame us. Me, Vertigo, and Darj realized how stupid it would be, how ridiculous it would be. That's to actually implement poop tech into Star Citizen, about how the poor person who has to like mocap taking a dump in there, and the freaking animator who has to animate all the different types of poo that are going to come out, and
Oh my
like,
god.
yeah, we just lost our mind laughing about how silly the whole concept was. And then CIG says, "No, we're actually going to do it."
I was there in that conversation.
Were you there too as well?
I was there.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, it was great. The animators, the artists, just Houdini's gonna have such a good time.
Yeah.
But no, it's not engineering. It is
hygiene.
actor status system V2.
Yeah, exercise system too. And someone asked, like, showering? Yeah, we don't know
Yeah,
how the
that's
CIG
all-
is going to do it, but
All the
yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. There's actually an answer. It's not just a meme.
Okay, M. Diego asks, question. I hear you guys talk about 60 FPS or over 60 FPS constantly, and that's not my experience, and I'm not quite sure why. The other thing is, the fact is, it might be a Linux thing. It may be a Linux thing, and it really depends on where you are and your hardware. Your hardware matters a lot more now, and how it's configured matters. So, like, do you have enough VRAM? Do you have enough RAM? Are you using an SSD? Are you using a SATA SSD? Are you using a M2 drive? Are you how's your connection? Where are you? Because like I don't get 60 FPS in Orison, but I get 120 FPS in like Stanton Station, Stanton Gateway. Depends on where you are. We'll do.
Why is that link so long?
So
also the telemetry page.
Yeah.
Not as where is like go look up what changes in each of the like columns and rows compared to which pieces they have.
Mm-hmm.
It only does the CPU and GPU, but watch videos and things of people talking about like RAM and stuff. 2 pound 40, I think it is.
10
does a lot of
42.
hardware stuff. 10 40. It like there's a lot. Star Citizen is very particular about the hardware that it wants, and you can just trump it by just like doing the latest and greatest of each CPU and GPU and just brute forcing it. But there are some things you can do at the mid range that will give it a lot better performance.
Yeah. But like consistently, it's higher now. FPS is higher than it has been before. Yes. So if you had a lower FPS score before, you should have a higher FPS score now.
Yeah. I've been noticed I've been consistently getting better FPS now in Star Citizen since 4.0's release.
I've been able to play with photo clouds once over 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I one of the reasons why I'm upgrading my PC this year is for gaming is because I have a 8 gigabyte GPU. So I need to have something that's more, so I'm going to upgrade to a 16 because I only play in 1440, so I don't need a 4K crazy stuff. I just need, something that functions for my scale. But yeah, because like I now know that if I improve my my rig, I will have better performance in Star Citizen, not because Star Citizen just brute forcing it, but because it's being optimized that direction. So Shampasta asks, instead of long periods of silence from CIG, would it be better for them to just reiterate their previous talking points?
No.
Yeah, I think yes, but only if it's consolidated into a single thing. One of the things that's really cool about what CIG is doing now is they have this thing on Spectrum. I can't remember the name of it, but it's every so often, like every few months, they just gather a bunch of questions from Spectrum and then they answer those questions in a big post. Mm-hmm. So it's instead of having to scour Spectrum for Ollie Brown talking about something in Star Citizen about Vulcan, you could find out whatever it was being said. So
I mean, honestly, like I like the idea of having recaps every so often of like what's working on this, just to touch base with the community, say, hey, like a inside Star Citizen or a Star Citizen Live where they say, hey, we're still working on this. Here's some progress since you last checked in. We're still committed. We're still planning on doing this. Because it never hurts to not have the John Crew, we're not working on base building right now, fiasco happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boy.
Those updates are nice. Comlink?
Yeah.
No, it's not Comlink. It's called something.
Comdive?
Comdive. It's the Comdive, yeah.
And I actually like the idea of like Even like a Sysicon summary that actually does make sense. Like halfway between, like give a random, like somebody whoever wants to take up the mantle in between the break for or break from Sysicon and the new year of Jared content. Somewhere in between there, have them like summarize Sysicon.
All right, I'm gonna move fast because we still got a lot of questions left, and we're now at 45 minutes. And Diego followed up with saying, "Oh, actual question: what are your guys' settings for upscaling and resolution?" I use DLSS at 57%, and I stream at 14. I play at 1440. What do you do, Nas? You mentioned it before.
My monitor is 4K, which is the worst. Don't ever buy a 4K monitor. It's terrible. Everything breaks. Everything requires too much energy. I use TSR. I flip between the different ones depending on if I need more FPSs or not. I very rarely try and play at native because I don't need 4K. 4K is useless.
Vertigo, what's your resolution you play at?
I 1080p.
Okay.
1920 by 1080p. I medium graphics settings. Use
do any
DLSS
DLS?
with that NVIDIA. Yeah.
Okay.
Got
Axis?
NVIDIA.
Axis, what are your settings? Do you know?
My settings are 1080p as well.
Okay.
Basically across the board. At one time, I found out I was streaming at 720, so I had to remedy that. That was lovely. Since I switched service providers, I'm potentially. You see, my old monitors, my computer monitors are fairly old, so I may have to retire them. So I have a 3060, so I think I can handle 1440.
Possibly. 3060 is a little on the low end, but yeah.
I may end up upgrading it to a 3080 to, give it more edge this way. So,
do you use DLSS or FSR or anything else like that?
What's that?
Upscaling, DLSS, FSR.
I don't use that. I just use the standard settings. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Gin and Tonic. Are you happy seeing more narrative in the game? Is this asking for me, or is this for everyone?
I guess, like you're the one who does the narrative stuff.
Yes, of course I am. I would love to see more. How about you, Axis? Do you want to see more narrative? Do you like narrative?
Yes, as long as it's going in the direction the updates are.
Okay.
Because, I don't know if anyone's loaded into the new PTU, but there's a splash screen that's very much reminiscent of Galnet for us elite players. It's like you're reading a newspaper. It's like, flash, this is happening from the Terra Gazette. That needs to be a going forward thing, I think, because then it becomes part of the moving lore of the updates as things continue, a moving narrative as we approach 1.0. And it may not seem like a lot, but it kind of puts a background narrative to what's going on.
Nas?
Yes, I'm very happy to see. Like, it's very, like, it gives the game a lot more grounded purpose, not just like you said earlier, just grinding for grinding's sake. Like it feels like even walking around, even the narrative that you can hear as you're walking around places and the NPCs having conversations, even that is just really nice to feel in the game.
Vertigo, your thoughts on narrative? You like it coming in the game? Do you care?
Yeah, it's nice as long as I don't accidentally turn into a terrorist. Because I chose the faction that had the coolest looking skin.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, Vertigo, you're the famous person who pointed out to me I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. All I know is I must kill. That's how you play
this
video
games. What happens? You jump
so,
over all the when you skip all the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, eventually you'll just be able to, pick it up from other players.
Yeah. I mean, Ninja, that's a completely different question. Is like what happened to duly calling you. I would love to have voiceover context for the missions you're supposed to do and actually meeting mission givers before you do it. That stuff is good. That stuff is important, and I think CIG needs to start adopting that. If
mission givers will come back.
Yeah.
Tessa Bannister will come back,
but
just not right now.
All right. Maverick asks, Is it possible that CIG is using the idea of bug fixing and content iteration as a way to shift development and devs back to Squadron 42 in order to ensure the 2026 release window?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't. Sure.
But not not like feature work. They're working on all this for the engine. The engine happens to both benefit both games.
Yeah. I think it's a little crazy to say they were shifting it back, because I don't think CIG, again, this is, take it with a grain of salt based off of my own experience and from what I've talked with the people at CIG. The game is the situation they're in right now is that the game is doing, so it's like Squadron 42 is pretty much done. What they're doing is going back and changing details here and there and optimizing the fuck out of the game. One of the reasons why the game was crashing at CitizenCon, this is from somebody who works at CIG, who works on Squadron 42, says it's because they were running it, they weren't running it in dev mode. So they were running it in release. So it didn't have this, they didn't have any of the like the optimizations for that specific build, you know, for that computer's rig. So that's why it was crashing, is because they hadn't built it for that. So,
like, and they've always said, or they said once they hit feature complete and they moved all the devs over, like Squadron's still first priority.
Yeah.
Like if they need any devs, they will pull them. They don't have to ask.
No. But
like they're not moving them back. They've always been back whenever they need them.
So, someone's saying they said that in 2016. Yeah, but it's not 2016 anymore. Like, and these are people I like. This is not stuff that I've heard. This is stuff I've heard from inside the company, not official through official channels. So,
and like we saw it.
Yeah.
We know where they are. We have an Idris. We know where they are. Like we know how many rooms they have left to do on the Javelin. Like we know where they are.
Yeah. I understand the hesitation.
It's
just like one of those things where CIG has changed and things are not quite the same. And you're memeing. I got it, but it's like the amount of people I see pull up like, well, in 4.2 we're supposed to have this from that awful roadmap that CIG did in 2016 is like,
farming was supposed to be like 5 years ago.
Yeah. That sort of stuff is just like, yeah, it happens. It's shitty, but like it doesn't help that, you know, in 2025 when you're actually looking at the game that you want to see, saying like, well, they should have released this in 2019. Har 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 har. It's like, it's like saying, it's the same time people who shit on No Man's Sky being like, No Man's Lie, you mean? It's like,
just like,
yeah,
that is like,
not really.
It's like it's entirely, or people who shit on Elite because it's like, well, Odyssey was garbage. It's like, have you played Elite since then? Like, you know. Next question. I'm going to move on from that. With Terra, Alcindor asks, with Terra being the last system that brings release 1.0, how long till after the next system will that be? No idea. I'm going to say 6 months.
Yeah. CIG's got to get their ass in gear when it comes to developing systems. So it's going to take forever to get any more.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Axis.
I'm going to dash some hopes on people wanting more distant locations. They're all going to be in the area around the current 5. So things like Kano, things like Magnus, they connect directly between Stanton and Terra. Hadrian, maybe Bremen, which connects to Nyx. But those I kind of shuffle off into the possible Squadron 42 branch, because Squadron, remember, is in Vega to begin with. So Vega, Bremen, Nyx, Odin. Those 4 are probably locked behind Squadron 42. I am not being a prophet here. I'm merely guessing, because to even get to Odin, you have to go through the Odin pipeline. I mean, and that's not a spoiler, folks.
All right, let's move through.
Sorry about that, Paul.
You're good. No, let's move on to the next question because we're picking up a little bit. So Shapasta asks, now that the Pi Piss, the new interaction system, is in, Do you like the effing system where Fs show up everywhere, or is it better to implement? Is there a better implementation of CIG could move to?
I'm having a
contextual
hard
prompt
contextual prompts. Yeah.
that basically says what the action is, which I'm pretty sure it does that anyway. It's like you can remove the F icon, like that's an option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it
I have it
just
on my
says
mouse
open join
my mouse
tab.
buttons to because you use it for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think it's that
It's a
bad.
good system. I like the system.
I'm an Arma player, so like the idea that you have one interaction button everywhere you go and it pops up everywhere is fine. I think just removing the prompt would be nice so that you could just
There's an option for that.
Is there in the
Yes.
UI? Okay, no, there we go.
Yes. It's been there since day one because they like released it saying, "Hey, you can turn that off. We know what happened the first time."
Okay.
My problem with it is like if it's a janky system. It
Mhm.
just needs to be tightened up a little.
Yep.
It's like you're trying to loot a body
Oh god.
and there's a bunch of other crap all over the place, or you're trying to
Yeah.
pick up something specific on the floor and there's a bunch of other crap all over the floor. You'll grab something you didn't.
I think there
like-
should be something like Project Zomboid has, where you could in Project Zomboid, you could hit open inventory just anywhere, and it will show you all of the inventories around you,
Mhm.
whether that's the cabinet, the fridge, or whatever. As long as it's doing with like, the next to you in 5 feet, it will just show you all the inventories. There needs to be something like that, like it lists some actions, and then you pick from those actions that you actually want to do. Because like boxes and with the
Yeah,
system
if you're
gets
within a
confused.
certain distance of an inventory item, or if you're in certain if stuff on the floor, containers on the floor
Mhm.
like backpacks, boxes,
It's like,
items
"You
on
wanna
the
pick this
floor.
up? You want to carry this, or you want to open this?
So-
No, I want to pick it up.
If you press the inventory button, it opens all that stuff nearby, and you can just like drag stuff all over the place.
Mhm.
Honestly, that should probably not be like a transparent UI. That should be something that covered up to make it more looting, more kind of like Tarkov style, where looting is a little bit more intense.
Mhm.
You lose a lot of situational awareness while you're digging territories.
I like that.
Yep.
All right. Next question comes from Cody Fox 00, who asks, if you could have either 1 engineering this year or 2 craft-based building this year, what would you take and why? The question itself is flawed.
Yeah.
You're not getting crafting and base building without engineering. They're
Yeah.
prerequisites.
Well, we already have crafting. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah. But I mean,
So
the idea of
CIG
like
can easily-
expanded crafting, I don't see that happening with CIG without them building and engineering in the first place.
Yeah.
Because
And
like,
I mean, like-
engineering- the only reason we don't have engineering in the game is because QA time. It
Yeah.
would have been in 4.0, but they removed it so they could get 4.0 out at the end of the year. That was the only reason we don't have it.
and the reason why it's going to take a little bit longer, if it's going to be delayed even further, is because they want to focus on taking the features that are in now and tightening them up and shoring them up before they move on. So,
Right.
And so that requires the resources that would be going into engineering and QAing engineering.
Ta-da! Yeah.
So,
I still think it should be probably in 4.1 though.
all right. Next question comes from Northern Trooper, who asks, if or when we'll be able to have politics in game? Or is that a 1.0 release? No.
We had a vote for the Imperator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Couple
also
years
they're
back
in
in-
game with Fight for Pyro. We are
If the question, if
we are
Northern Troopers,
politicking Pyro.
if Northern Troopers asking about like factions, and
Unless
stuff
they're
like
asking
that,
about the other kind of politics, like
Oh,
LGBT
yes.
and
She's also
yes. So we'll
which is already in game because you're playing with people. It's
Yeah.
a multiplayer game. Congratulations.
Woo!
You're
Like,
playing with gay
honestly-
people right now. Like you don't know it.
Yeah.
like
yes.
honestly, like base
I think
politics,
what
like the
they're- I
entire
think what
system
they're-
of that was in when people started playing with other people because there's actually a study done that most multiplayer, like even when you and your buddies play like Minecraft, you will naturally form what is called an enlightened anarchy, which is basically everyone's technically on their own. There are no technical laws except the laws you give yourself, but everyone just kind of shares stuff. That's an enlightened anarchy. So like any cooperative thing will become a political system,
Mhm.
and they just get to have a narrative behind it in Star Citizen that you get to vaguely interact with.
You're going to say something next?
I'm gonna argue. I think what North End Trooper was going for was similar to the power system or whatever it's called in
Power play.
Elite, where
Power
you
play.
power play. There it is, which we're fixing to get Power Play 2.0 and
Mhm.
with the next update, where you pledge your support behind a particular faction or candidate or whatever through it. For example, in Elite, currently I'm behind the Federation,
Mhm.
but leaning
Bleh.
towards some other people as well.
Bleh.
But yeah.
Bleh. No one will ever understand the glory of the Alliance. All right, so I don't care that we're tiny and we're often under.
Is that anything like the fight for power that we're doing now?
Yes.
Hey,
very
this
similar.
is why I have an Alliance challenger, Paul. Come
Okay.
on.
I hate the ships in the Alliance. I just like the Alliance because I can't stand the Empire and I can't stand the Federation. The Empire is too old and
walk around my
decrepit.
ship. So
The Empire is too decrepit and old, and the Federation is too stuck up its own ass. So that's just me, though. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think we already kind of have that with the fight for Pyro. It's just not as it doesn't impact like
It's not as intricate
Yeah.
because with the upcoming update, the faction you have, you can use it as a foothold for the colony you're founding in the game. Now, number one, why won't this work in Star System? Number one, we would need all 100 current systems, and as we know, we don't have that. And we would also need randomized number of unsettled systems beyond the core worlds.
Mhm.
So that if they ever do anything like that in Star Citizen, you're going to be waiting at least 10 years.
As someone pointed out in chat, I was going to say this as well. 1.0. Like that's literally the story of Star Citizen. Is the fight between Terra and Earth, who choose whose side you're going to side with. You know,
the better side, obviously, Terra.
yeah, obviously.
My biggest gripe was it RSI and Argo go to Earth,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
we get Anvil and
Origin.
Misk, Anvil, Misk, Origin,
Drake.
like Drake, yeah. But RSI and Argo go to Earth, and I hate it so much.
Aegis will go to Earth too.
Oh yeah, no, they can have
No
Aegis.
warmongers.
All right, so next question.
RSI and Argo.
That hurts. I know. Also, Grey Cat because Grey Cat's in Mars. So.
Oh, that sucks. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll create a smuggling ring to get Argo ships to Terra.
Escape asks, how do you guys feel about colors being uniform across armor sets?
Colors being uniform?
So the Imperial color in one armor set is not the same as the Imperial in another armor set.
Oh, that sucks. They need to like absolutely take that out back and shoot it because like no.
I've complained about this before. Like
We deal with that in
certain
real
colors
life.
don't match.
Yeah.
We don't need that real life being emulated in the game. Like one navy from one brand is different navy from no. Go use your naming schemes and your hex codes and unify them. Get out.
Yeah, and for people who just like, no, Terra is not Earth. Terra is Terra. Sol is Earth. Terra is the star system, and Sol is the star system that has Earth. But it's Terra
Technically,
Nova.
Earth is Earth, but it's in the Sol system.
Yeah.
Terra is a planet in the Terra system, so it's Terra, and Earth Sol.
Yeah. So.
Yay!
Yes, as
sci-fi.
Jin is pointing out, Mr. Clown Armor complaining about colors. That's kind of Vertigo's point of doing the clown armor because it doesn't really matter.
I don't have to worry about like stuff matching. I can just slap some garish shit together. That's one of the reasons why I put it together was just to hurt people's eyes and to have a uniform.
And unlike certain other people that pick fights with Knight Rider CIG, we don't worry about hex codes.
Oh God.
I don't have to worry about hex codes. I just slap some stuff on and it's just like, okay, let's go do some missions. Look at the stats of the armor and say this is good enough.
1, 2, 3.
Does it say 40?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 questions left. Let's get through this quick. We've already an hour.
We're gonna do burn down.
Burn down. We're rapid fire. Trouble Magnet asks, as part of the bug fixes, some of the existing systems might get major or at least minor reworks with some of the new functionality. What would you pick as a system to get improved on and how? The social system.
Yeah. I mean, they called that out last year at CitizenCon.
Mm-hmm.
In-game chat needs to be like desperate.
Yeah.
Friends system needs to work better, you know.
But that's like in the pipeline too.
The question isn't
docking system. docking
docking
system.
system. Yeah.
It needs to be fixed.
Axis. Any systems that are currently in game you'd like to see fixed?
Global chat.
Okay. No, social system. All of us.
Yeah, definitely global chat.
I agree though that the docking needs to be fixed too because it's kind of weird. It's better. It's gotten a lot better. I've seen people use it a lot more often, so it's not completely borked. But Dragon Wolf asks,
my Polaris.
panelist choice for other Star Citizen or Star Kitten style tributes in Star Citizen: Deadmau5, Hakuni Miku, Master Chief. We need to have Hakuni Miku. All right,
We need to just give it the Fortnite treat and just bring in Naruto and
do it.
God, no,
Goku
I
and
so
Nikki Haley and
say shit what you want about weebs, but weebs are notoriously irresponsible spenders. If you put anime decals to be available on ships,
and we literally had this question earlier. We need more nose art.
Yeah. And I mean, specifically anime style, like waifus, the sort of pinup stuff, that sort of style. People would go broke buying Star Citizen stuff.
What's the independent animation people on YouTube? Oh no, is it Glitch Animations? Yeah. They do. They do Love, Death, and Robots. What they do? There's a very popular murderous robot thing they do, and they also do Digital Circus.
Oh yeah, Digital Circus. Yeah, amazing Digital Circus.
They have some cool art there.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Evangelion. Oh my God, those people are special crazy.
Gin and Tonic asks, how does the panel feel about the reduced show schedule? ISC and SCL being seemingly once in a while with no set schedule.
I mean, it made sense to me. Like they were going to keep rolling back on ISC because they needed to pinch the pennies, tighten their belts a little bit because
you want to know why
inflation's up.
You know why? It's not because inflation's up. It's Squadron 42.
They're filming for Squadron. Okay.
They're not filming for Squadron. They're filming promotional material for Squadron. So that team is obviously So
that makes a lot of sense. Ready to go.
But also, like, if we don't have anything to show, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what do we got this week? Well, we did some bug fixes.
Yeah.
Sure. Bring back Bug Smashers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They can't bring back Bug Smashers. They explain why they can't bring Bug Smashers.
They also brought up.
Like they got sued part of that.
It was part of the lawsuit.
They did also get sued by Crytek for Bug Smashers. But like the amount
Crytek's going out of business here soon enough.
Yeah, true.
Which is kind of sad. Like they didn't get their last game out. But also screw you, Crytek, for going after Star Citizen. Which is hilarious because the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. They can now put Squadron in the launcher, and they don't have the same launcher and not care.
Yeah.
If it was dismissed without prejudice, meaning Crytek could have sued them again, the last point they had that had any merit is Star Citizen and Squadron 42 in the same launcher, and they don't have to care anymore.
All right, next question comes from Gin and Tonic, who asks, "Oh no, that's already been a question. It's Lady Space Patrol. Nope, that's not a question. That's an insult. That's an insult. I finally got that joke. Oh god,
that's an insult.
That's an insult. Question: Raylan for Alien Week. They also ask.
No.
They also ask: Are we doing a new ground vehicle between now and ILW? The G12?
Yeah.
G12.
Well, we already have. Didn't we already hit? No, G12's not in game yet.
Nope.
No, it's not. It's the last one.
I mean, they're going to add more, of course. We talked about it last broadcast. We talked about the new little missile tracked vehicle.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
Yep.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I could see the
like Alien Week
next year.
Haven't they paused most Alien stuff?
They have.
Yeah.
I don't see any Alien stuff this year.
No.
Maybe they start working on it again, but it won't be this Alien Week.
No.
Yeah, we know what ships they're all working on. It's not Aliens.
Captain Catafrac asks, armor on ships when? That's literally Maelstrom.
Yeah. Physicalized damage, I guess.
Yep. That's
physicalized
damage.
Engineering after engineering.
And it's in the main branch, kind of like Vulcan, because Ali went on Spectrum and did a bunch of stuff talking about Vulcan, and he pointed out that Vulcan is internally already good to go. Like it's either at or close to being pushed for Squadron 42, and I think he said it's enabled natively for Squadron 42 already. So it's just a matter of them bringing that to Star Citizen. But if they brought it
Ranger,
if they brought it to Star Citizen, it could cause issues, more issues than they're willing to deal with right now. So that's why it's not being brought to Star Citizen quite yet. They're waiting for it to be stabilized before they bring it over, and that can be a while, is what they said. I imagine it also has to connect with things like the quantum system and all the other stuff which has been in the main branch for a while, and Star Citizen hasn't had a merge with the main branch in a while. So,
which I thought was a crazy realization that we haven't had a main branch pull since September.
yeah. So
Like the amount of code that's in that main branch right now that we don't have,
which is one of the reasons
a lot.
One of the reasons I'm worried about, I'm still kind of worried about CIG merging that main, doing a merge when after all they've done all of this fix, you know. All right, that's an insult. Then asks, we know that the Pioneer is getting work. What CNOU ship do you reckon is coming to build assets for the Pioneer? What does
medium
it do?
ship that we talked about in the first part.
Yep, we talked about a medium CNOU ship in the first part. Daedalus asks, when will heavy fighters have a purpose?
Perseus.
When you
Perseus is
go
gunship.
fight something.
Yeah, they have purposes.
Like,
they
what's
just
heavy fighter? Scorpius. Like every time there's a conflict, there's a reason to have a Scorpius.
Scorpius,
I love the Scorpius.
Vanguard, the
Hurricane, because it has to be there.
I actually have a skin for the Hurricane. I don't even own a Hurricane.
Oh, what's the other one? The one that just came out.
Gladiator?
Qui? Gladiator?
The Qui, yeah. The
Guardian.
Yeah, the Guardian is another
a heavy fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they'll function. They have purposes. Their purpose is to be heavy. Like to give you context. Well, I guess technically the F8 is also a heavy fighter. But to give context, I actually fought a F8, a fully meta F8 with a Vanguard Harbinger, a stock Vanguard Harbinger, and I won.
Wow.
So they have purposes.
Was it fully crewed?
No, it's just me.
No, what's the
F8? F8,
F8.
yeah, F8 was fully crewed. F8 is only one seat. So yeah. No, it's only one seat for the F8.
I swear there was a turret on it.
There is, but it's used as slave to the pilot. So
useless turret. Yeah. That's got to be the worst. All other the heavy fighters, don't they have turret people?
No, not all.
A lot of the other heavy fighters have turrets.
Scorpius and the Hurricane do.
Hammerhead.
Yeah.
Why did I say Hammerhead?
The Scorpius, the Hurricane, and the Vanguard all do. Yeah. Guardian and Vanguard are useless against PvP sweatlords. Okay.
That's not their purpose.
Yeah.
Their purpose is to go headlong into something like a Xeno threat and come out.
Or to shoot like Connie, you know?
Yeah, they have a different purpose than 1v1ing people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want 1v1, you pick light fighters. That's the 1v1 ships.
And Daedalus even said, I asked the question, but I know the answer when armor comes out. My point is more about when heavy fighters with low value hard points, what happens to them when if heavies are armored targets.
I mean, even if you can't be penetrated, if you can't kill anybody, what's the point?
Yeah.
If your maneuverability sucks, and they tear you apart by looking you to death with low power laser weapons, you're still gonna die. It's gonna take you a half hour.
Yeah.
But then you become a point of attention, so your teammates, assumably, can focus on them while you hold their attention. Basic MMO raid rules.
All right, we got 3 more questions. Andy, Radar Ranger asks, so where is Transit Refactor? This is actually fun because there's actually 2 answers.
4.1 or something?
There's 2 answers
next
to this.
month.
One is it's being worked on right now and will be out in 402. The second is that that version that I just talked about is a small fix, and the longer fix is going to happen in several months. So the one that they're doing right now is a temporary fix to make things work better than with what they have, and the long-term fix is also being worked on right now that takes into account further fixes and updates to the engine. So
Yeah. So the one we're getting in 402 is the healing code, and then they're going to start the long process of ripping the entire thing out and making it a service.
yeah. So
Which they said they should have done back when they started doing the instance hangers.
but they didn't. Yeah.
But they didn't, and they now know that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. They should have just put that effort into the refactor, although I did like to hear the rationale was why they didn't.
It was also on the show when they talked to it
Benoit.
was basically they
Benoit.
had the two no before that last year.
Oh.
I forget who they talked to. They could talk to the guy who was in charge of the instance hangers project.
Yeah.
Basically they looked at the project and said, this is going to take a long time. This is going to take less time. And they're like, we think we can do it with the less time, so we're going to do it with the less time. And they ran into it. When they actually got into implementation, they realized that was the wrong plan, but they were too far in to backtrack.
Yeah.
So it was just they made the wrong decision.
They made a mistake.
Womp womp.
Yep.
All they had.
All right, we've got 2 more questions. Captain Cataphract asks, are we going to have a new Cyclone variant? Is Cyclone Amphibian Scout a possibility since we have water implementation?
Ooh.
I don't know if we're gonna have like actual boat. Yeah, I saw they had showed off a boat for like the Squadron 42 trailer a long time ago.
Yeah.
Moving boats would be so ridiculously like labor intensive, though.
I don't think we're going to see like ducks, where like it's part car, part boat. I don't think that's going to happen.
We
I
have
don't think
space
we're
for
gonna have
that.
paddle boats.
Chris
We're gonna-
Roberts is like crazy enough to do it though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't see that being a priority until like they actually build out like underwater stuff. But
Mm-hmm. I will not accept boats unless they come with boat trailers for ground vehicles.
And then again, you have to populate underwater with life
That's what I
forms
mean.
and
Yeah.
POIs
Yeah.
as well. So,
I don't think they're going to
Yep.
do anything with that until they have a full underwater ecology that they want to do. And then
I take 5.
including things like resources you can gather. So things you
Yep.
could use for crafting and such.
Subnautica coming to a Star System near you.
Hey, I mean, it worked with No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky did the same thing. So,
Yep. Yeah, like we could actually be looking at something like a No Man's Sky kind of scenario post 1.0. Just like, hey, we're doing more stuff and
Yeah.
more stuff and more stuff.
It just depends on how well they can stabilize now. And like I've said for a long time, this year is the put up or shut up year. They have to start
Yep.
putting it up, otherwise, there's no point.
Yep.
Thanks for answering my question. Was more pointing out why would you take a heavy or medium fighter that's faster, more maneuverable, and just as heavy armored? There's no. I mean, it's entirely up to you individually. A lot of people do take it because of looks or taking on because of PVE rather than PvP. There's lots of reasons to take.
Yeah, they're really good at PvE. Plus, they are better
Range.
in wings.
And range.
Yeah, better.
Like you could go a lot further in a Vanguard than you can go in a F8 or an F7. So
Yep.
Last question. Captain Tricaro asks, "What do each of the folks present think of the most critical bug needs to be fixed for Star Citizen to open the door to squashing the Bug Citizen title?" I will start by saying the elevators.
I agree. Elevators.
Same.
Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna be the one out here. Okay, fine. I will be pessimistic and say that they will never get rid of that because the one bug you'd have to fix is people's brains, and that's never going to be fixed. They
That's
will
true.
always have the bug citizen lingering over them. They will always have the scam over them, much like No Man's Skies will always have the meme hanging over them that they lied. You're not going to fix it. Even if we had 100% bugless game, it's not going to go away. Other than that, like the biggest bug I'd like them to fix would be hangar doors being open but not actually open.
Yeah. I think the only thing that's going to change people's perspective is the game being improved, and the game will be improved. There will always be people who meme on it, but like the people who say No Man's Lie are people who haven't played No Man's Sky in 3 years, or people
Yeah.
who saw it in the first launch and went, "Ha! and then moved on. And haven't even thought about the game. And so they think of it as more of a classic failure rather than what it actually is.
The people who do that to No Man's Skies weren't going to like No Man's Skies anyway.
Yeah.
They just bought it because of the hype and then just hated it for the sake of being anti whatever the internet was saying. And now they're just have to carry the torch for their own ego.
So I think the
Like-
bug system title is removed when the major bug, like the elevator falling through planets, those things are no longer there. Because when you hear somebody go, "Well, this game sucks because I just fell," because you just fall through planets, and most of us go, "How long has it been since you played Star Citizen?" Because I've heard people be like, "Oh, you get 2 FPS in the game." I'm like,
Yeah.
What? When's the last time
in
you
10
played the
years.
game? You know,
In 10 years, when like somebody encounters a bug, like I'll probably do this myself, and like I'll be streaming and like I encounter a bug. Well, it wouldn't be Star Citizen without bugs. Like, yeah,
yeah.
it's just gonna be a thing.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for this very long, extended After Dark Q&A session. Thank you. Make sure you check out HD Vertigo and Axis on Twitch, and check out Nazareth on the Nova Forge on Twitch and YouTube. And if you enjoy this, check us out live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/the Captain's Table Podcast, where we're live on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come down and join the chat, express your own opinions. Make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, like the video if you enjoyed it, hit the bell icon to be notified of release, and your comments down below on anything we've talked about here today. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.